Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5 by 3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5 by 3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. We're going to go for it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to 5 by 3 Radio. And I'm here with Rebecca today.
Hi. I'm slightly distracted because we chit-chatted for a little while first, and now we are to the point where my dog is in the kitchen knocking her dinner bowl around.
I saw her come in, and I thought, she's going to be quiet, right?
No.
And she is.
She's asking for her. Oh, and I said the word out loud, too.
Uh-oh.
I didn't spell it.
Did you hear it?
I don't know. We'll
Okay.
see.
So we're back, and I don't remember what we talked about the last time. Oh, I remember balance. We were on the balance.
We were on a balance beam.
We talked about balance. So I'm hoping that everybody was listened to that and had some ideas and thoughts about it, and has maybe incorporated some balance training into your program. I just saw an article, something about like even women, menopausal women. That's right. It was an article that someone gave me, left it on my desk, a newspaper article. How do I
That's
even like
so
share that?
old school, Emily.
I've got a lot of mature lifters in my, still read the newspaper. So, and it was all about strength training after menopause. And it had at the very end of the article, it talked about balance training, that balance training should be incorporated as well. And I definitely do work on my balance, especially since I have a bad hip now, and need a hip replacement, and we'll be getting one in another month or so, actually. So that's a whole other topic. Oh, and I spoke to somebody who had a double hip replacement, whose husband is an SSE.
Oh,
Need to have her on the podcast.
interesting.
We're going to do a shout out to Emily Burrows right now. Thank you, Emily, for sharing your story with me. And we will have her on the podcast to talk about hip replacements and strength training in the future, because it'll be good for everybody and for me to hear her talk about it again. So we thought today we have a very general topic to discuss, but kind of an important one. And this came up in our conversations that we just had. Rebecca went to a speaker series recently.
Oh,
and
yeah. Well, do you want to start there? Like we were actually initially sort of talking about the idea of different changes that lifters go through when they start lifting, unathletic populations or populations who have primarily done cardio or who have maybe been underweight, and what changes they might experience in their body as they start to lift, and their perceptions of that. And that's sort of where we kind of landed on this topic, which was that their perceptions, like a lot of times a novice lifter's perceptions of what is happening, not just within their body, but in their lifting experience, is based on the information that's coming to them in a world that they've kind of inadvertently created.
Yep.
Primarily through our access to like social media or news sources or that sort of thing. And this speaker that Todd and I went to see it was Delia and I went to go see.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was girls' night. Went to see the other week. Talked about this idea. The term that she used was digital sheepdog, right? So your sheepdog herds you and brings you things that it thinks that you want. You create an algorithm by what you click on, and then your digital sheepdog recognizes what you're interested in and then goes out, searches the internet, and brings you things that it thinks you will want. And so when I started lifting, I didn't really have that environment or that digital world created for me by my interaction in social media or on my phone or algorithms from news articles that I clicked on, and I think you did not have that either.
Nope.
So I've actually seen that play out a couple different ways with new lifters. that I've been working with recently and hadn't kind of put that all together in my mind until we were talking about it. But like basically my social media feed, I never see anything about gym fails.
Right.
So that doesn't show up on any of like Instagram reels or anything that I'm looking at because I'm not, searching for, oh, my whatever, fill in the body part, knee, hip, shoulder, back hurts when I do X, Y, or Z exercise, right? But when somebody first starts lifting, they might have some apprehension or some fear about a particular lift. They might start Googling those things. And I have one client that I'm thinking of that we didn't even talk about that is doing sort of a mix,
Mm.
some barbell work, but also just some really generic
Hmm.
um, personal trainer type exercises. And she gets a lot of this stuff. But I also know about her personality that she tends to be somebody who has some anxiety. Like my favorite shirts that she wears sometimes has like a unicorn on it, and it says like, "Are you overthinking what I'm overthinking?"
That's good.
Because that's pretty much her to a T. So I was thinking about that. Like that's the algorithm that she has created. That's what her phone brings her then
Hmm.
is like gym
Hmm.
fails. I was like, why are you getting that? And I was like, quit Googling that stuff. Quit looking for that.
Right.
But sometimes, people start getting those videos, and it's too late. They've already seen them, and then they get scared off.
Yeah, and listening to you, so it's like the gym fails that people are concerned about, barbell training and am I going to get hurt? And then they start
What's
looking
the
at
worst that could
they
happen if
start
I
finding
squat
videos.
with bad form? Never ask your computer
It's
that
always, yeah,
question.
it's always going to be videos. It's always going to be videos of people lifting poor form. And I mean, I look at those videos and I just shake my head, and just kind of roll my eyes. But it's because it doesn't bother me because I'm looking, or if I'm watching a gym fail, I'm like, that was the stupidest thing you ever did. I mean, that was just dumb. I can't believe the person videoed it and then put it up on the internet, and didn't delete it. But so people are getting that. And then you also have lifters who are brand new, and let's say women who are new lifters, possibly getting videos of other influencers or other fit women looking a certain way or not looking a certain way. And you start looking at like, your body starts to change a little bit and it's changing good, it's changing bad. And you have all that, you have a lot of video coming at you of women who are lifting weights, women who are not lifting weights, people who are doing Pilates, people who are doing yoga, and you're trying to kind of find that place where do you belong now? Because you maybe want to be stronger, but you still want to look a certain way. And am I changing? Am I going to change too much? Am I going to change too soon? And you're bombarded with tons of other information about different ways of exercising. And then your brain might start saying, well, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing by doing X, Y, or Z. Except then you're getting information about bone density and menopause and the reasons to strength train. And there's so much coming at you that it's hard to separate all of that.
And a lot of it is competing information. And
Yes.
when you're first starting to sift through all of that, it's hard to decipher, right? So like if you're starting out with that initial question, how do I improve my bone density, right? You're gonna, in general, be pointed towards strength training. I think there's sort of there's a consensus about that now that that's the best way. But then what does that look like for you? And there's different people with different approaches. And, a lot of people, I think, are saying it needs to be, I mean, thankfully, a lot of people are saying it needs to be meaningfully heavy, right? Not 15 reps of like a two-pound
Dumbbells. Right.
dumbbell or something
Right.
like that. But then what does heavy mean? And this is something that came up when we were talking with Laura and Paula in that's sort of how they started down
Hmm.
this rabbit hole.
Hmm.
What does heavy mean? How do I figure that out? And the Lift More study, and how do I interpret that and incorporate it into my own exercise routine? But then you start incorporating some strength training and you think you're on a pretty good path that way. But it doesn't quite jive with what you've been doing for your entire life.
Right.
And then maybe you start missing some of the, I don't know, whatever it is, group fitness classes, Pilates, running, cardio based stuff, and you start Googling about that. How can I start incorporating running? And then you'll get a different point of view about how to mash those two things together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I mean, like when I started with you with the starting strength, the message at that point was like, no, if you're going to do this program, you got to do the program. You got to, and it was a lot more didactic in the delivery. Not, and I don't mean necessarily just from you. I mean, I think, from starting strength in general, there's a lot more didactic
Hmm.
approach.
Hmm.
And now, um, people are just being their digital sheepdog is bringing them lots of different options.
Right.
They're not just asking their coach, they're finding other ways, other bits of information, and it just gets jumbled a
Yeah,
little.
I hear a lot of my clients always talking about, do you follow the knees over toes guys? Do you follow this person? Do you watch this person? Let me show you this person. And I'm just like, I don't watch any of that. Like, I don't watch anything. I mean, if I'm on YouTube, you know what I'm watching. You probably know what I'm watching on YouTube. I'm not watching anybody lifting. I'm not watching anybody talking about anything. I mean, I'll scroll past Jordan and also be like, uh-huh, uh-huh. I know what they're saying because I know what we talk about. But that's not the majority of the people that we train. And I definitely try to tell people, like, if you're gonna watch videos of people lifting, try to make sure that they're coming from reputable people like that, and ask me. I'll be happy to share that information with you. Um, I think something else that you come up with, and I haven't yet, and I don't know if I will, and is when women start to strength train, let's say older women starting to strength train, they've never done this before, and everybody said, like I said, everybody looks a certain way, everybody has a certain body, and everyone wants to feel good in their body, but maybe things start to change, right? I mean, and I think bodies can change with yoga and with Pilates and with any other kind of exercise too, right? So somehow strength training sometimes always gets kind of a bad rap for, oh, I started lifting weights and next thing I know, my clothes did fit differently. But when you say your clothes fit differently, is it a different because they fit better? Like maybe you filled out the butt a little bit and that's why your clothes fit differently, I mean, and maybe it's because there's a little bit more the calves are bigger. I don't know. I don't know. It's like it's a little bit of sometimes a shock, I think, for people. Not so much maybe the guys, but for women who aren't used to their bodies changing in such a way because they've never done this before. Or maybe they're paying more attention because of what they see out there in their digital in their digital footprint, right? Kind of giving that information, and they're seeing women looking a certain way, and do they look like that? Are they going to look like that? Because there's although the message out there is still very much, strength training is important, being stronger is important, feeling good in your body, but being strong is important. I think there are plenty of women who still want to look a certain way. And
Well, I mean,
that expectation is still there of like, I'll still be able to fit, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they could equate it with because they're not quite getting that same information from the coach as far as like what's actually happening because they're getting it from their whatever the digital feed they're
well, and I mean, you're talking about women maybe having to this struggle more than men, right? Like the whole idea of a man bulking up or having,
right
like big biceps or, whatever. Guys are striving after that stuff all the time. They're
all the
taught
time.
to strive for that. Women, at least our generation,
Hmm.
was sort of taught to take up less space.
Right.
And some of that is changing generationally. Um, but also I think women tend to get more information fed to them through various sources about appearance or beauty. And even, I mean, outside of your feed, right? Outside of your social media feed, just like the television shows
Hmm.
that people watch, like Delia's really into the traders right now,
I
right?
just I
And
just saw a clip of
everybody
that.
is so stylized
Hmm.
and just very chic looking.
Hmm.
And so even if you're not getting something directly fed to you about like, I don't know, you're bulking up if you're lifting weights or, being skinny, just the images a lot of places of people who are stars, or people who are in different, reality TV shows, um, are they're presented in a certain way that maybe influences people, women in particular, to want to look thinner or only, you know,
Yeah.
big in certain places, big butt, like whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I look at we're into the Winter Olympics right now. So you're looking at like the Olympians. I mean, and the Olympians, each Olympian for their particular sport is going to look a certain way.
Hmm.
You've got the ice skaters, you've got the speed skaters, speed ice skaters. You've got the skiers. I mean, thinking about the Olympics, the Summer Olympics with the rugby players, and who's the rugby player? I can't
Alana,
Alana, yeah, and her her discussion about her own body and
yeah.
how she looks, and that's her sport. Like she's a rugby player. She can't look like the ice skater if she's going to play
Yeah.
rugby.
But
You know?
and she's very interesting because she is very out there and,
Yeah.
she's on Dancing with the Stars. So she's out there
Yes.
presenting a different body
It's the
image and a
body,
different
right?
body type in the places where younger women are
Yes.
going to see and it's going to start to show up on
Yes.
their feed. So that's a good counter
Yeah,
message to.
exactly. I think we need more of that because the message, the counter message has to be there because it used to be like you'd have to go to the magazine to look for those
Mhm.
to those women. And my magazines that I was always following were like the muscle fitness magazines. I mean, I'm looking at all the women with the thighs and the biceps, and I'm like, I want to look like her. Going about it all the wrong way, of course, but but
Mhm.
still wanting to. But everyone has an idea of like what they should look like, and yet, we keep coming back to, yeah, but what is your body capable of doing? Like aesthetics aside, we can't we and sometimes we have to try to separate ourselves from like what we think we should look like, what we do look like, and what we can look like and still be strong, right? And changing our bodies changing can be a good thing, right? It can be a good thing. And how do you kind of come to terms with that and accept that you're doing right by your body when you're doing this type of training? What comes along with it is possibly, yes, a little bit more muscle as you start to build muscle. Maybe some fat, which is good. Like we need fat for our bodies. How much, our bones are getting stronger as a result of the impact, that we're doing. If we can kind of try to look at ourselves as a big picture, inside and out, as opposed to just out. And the way our clothes fit is not a definition of what we are, but maybe, where we're making changes. Um, I have three young dancers that I train on Saturday mornings, and they're 10, 11, and 12. And all three of them are very different. They're built differently. My 11-year-old is the tallest. She's like 5'4". Her parents are very tall, and she's strong as crap. She deadlifted 120 pounds the other day. So she's just built like athletic. She's athletic, right? Then my 12-year-old, my oldest, is shorter and tinier, like real tiny and just all legs, like a little skinny mini, all legs, and has the hardest time squatting, but has a beautiful deadlift because she's got long arms, right? Long arms, long legs. And then I have my youngest. My youngest is built like a powerhouse. She's almost built like a gymnast, right?
Mhm.
And she's as strong as the 11-year-old. And but her focus is different than the other two, right? She's got a good focus, but it's still she's 10. They're there as dancers, strength training, right? And they look at the pictures I have of Jen Thompson and Susie Hartwig Gary. And
Yeah.
they look at them and they always say to me, how much is she benching? How much is she deadlifting? I want to deadlift that like her. I want to bench like her. So these are three young girls, three young dancers, all three different body types, all dancing, and all there in the gym to get stronger. And they ask you, is this right? Is this right? Is that right? Did I do it right? Did I do it well? They're looking at it as wanting to perform well for me, you know, encourage each other. They're lifting more weight. They love the fact that they're lifting this weight. They love the fact that their numbers go up. They love the fact that they're in an environment that's this environment that where they're strong. There are no mirrors there. They never once questioned that there are no mirrors there. It's a whole different mindset than when I
Yeah.
was a dancer,
Well, yeah, and
coming up.
it's a different environment. It's a
And it's
different
so,
location. There's
yeah.
different influences coming at them. It's
And
structured differently than a dance studio.
there's nothing about, they're not worried about what's happening to them except that they're getting stronger and they're moving better. And their teacher obviously wants them to move better. And that's what I keep saying to them, like, wow, you're really clicking with the bench. Look how much you pressed this week. And I can coach them because they're dancers and they take direction and well. Um, but there's not this, none of them, and I've had one of them has been with me for a year now. There was never a, what's this going to do for me physically except make me stronger and better for my dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get that mindset.
So the other thing that reminds me of is, like, I mean, we're talking about curating your digital world, but a thing that I felt very strongly when I first started training up at 5 by 3, because it was a different physical location than the commercial gyms that I was working
Right.
in. It was a different world,
Right.
right? And so it's not only like curating a digital world and training your digital sheepdog. That's kind of hard to say. But also like the places that you go, the people that you interact with, the messaging that you hear from them.
Mhm.
Because I always felt like I was, and even before this sort of separate digital world, it was like I'm going to an actual different place where there's a different focus. And then I'd come back to a commercial gym setting and people there, they wanted a trainer because they wanted to lose weight or they wanted to fit into a dress for a particular special occasion. And fit into a dress always meant like get skinnier or, get toned all the time was the thing.
Mhm.
And so it's, like when you're talking about how do you get to a place where you can focus on, what your body is able to do and focus on those sort of possibilities as opposed to just the external appearance. It's not only the digital sheepdog, it's the physical environment, it's the water in which you swim. It's
Right.
like, and being aware of it and being aware of the messaging that you pick up when you're in those places, different messaging, and then sort of making some choices there also about, where you want to participate, where you want to be getting that messaging from.
Yeah. And where say positive, where the positive message, I want to say positive versus negative, but I mean, it's going along the lines of like, women and what we've been told, like you said, like our generation, like taking up less space, not just taking up less space, but, being smaller, women need to be smaller and women need to be petite. I mean, our bodies have changed over the years, right? Over the years, the fashion has changed, the idea of like what a woman should look like, hips, no hips, breasts, no breasts. I mean, even dancers, even just like from Balanchine to Misty Copeland, like the changes in dance and what dancers should look like, as far as on stage. Um, we keep getting bombarded, and men do it. Men go through it too. I mean, not to say that men don't. They keep getting kind of pushed the whole,
Yeah. Yeah.
abs, biceps, biceps, biceps. If you don't have that, and there's the dad bod, and you don't want the dad bod, or you do want the dad bod. I mean, it's like there's always something like if you don't look a certain way, and where we go to on our phones or on the computer is always going to give us the message, let's say, that we want. And that's kind of like with anything too, like in news as well, right? I mean, we're going to get the messaging we want, but can we find the messaging that's kind of that's positive? That kind of gives a sense like you can certainly feel a certain way and look a certain way, but here are some good ways to accept your body and do right by your body versus what you're trying to do, even that's possibly not going to put you on the right path and make you more frustrated and more disappointed. and more confused. So it's trying to it's trying to finagle all the messaging. And I'd say always like go to a source, go to a real person.
Yeah.
Before you go to like the internet, go to a real person, go to somebody you trust, you, me, a friend, somebody else who can help, so that you don't feel like you're going down a path that's leading you to a place where you're not going to be happy, and you're going to start to feel frustrated, and could possibly stop doing something that is very beneficial to you because you don't feel like it's helping you reach your goals. Well, what are those goals? I mean, it comes down to that too. And some people are going to stick with it and some people are not going to stick with it. And hopefully everybody, just finds something that they can do, that they like doing, and that is helping them achieve, the results that they want. I've spent many, many years, as you know, as we're talking about, trying to get myself out of that mindset of what a dancer looks like, and the person in the mirror not reflecting who I am. And strength training was that one piece of the puzzle that I was missing. I truly was missing until that came into my life. And next thing I knew, everything just started to kind of fall into place. It was
Yeah.
astonishing, but it took a long time.
But yeah, but also you literally did create a separate world
Right.
based around that. Like that's your job,
Right.
you have a space, a physical world that you created by building strength.
Right.
Focusing on sort of the health benefits in terms of, muscle and bone density and all of that as opposed to aspects. And not to say that that's always bad.
No.
And not to say that a person can't go through seasons with their training and have really same time. Or, however that translates for an individual, like, okay, this is your off season from cycling. Now it's your cycling season. You're, road racing, and you're not going to get as strong right now, and you're going to, have more of a cardio speed on your bike sort of focus.
Yeah. I think, one of my ladies about a week ago said to me, she's lost like 5 pounds. And the only reason she's lost 5 pounds is because she's been focusing more on her protein. She said she's kind of been taking care of her diet more. And she's been lifting like consistently twice a week, but also coming to our basic training class. So she's doing my BT class too. And she's dropped weight. So it's never I can't fit my clothes. It's the wow, I feel so good in my clothes. Or maybe it is like my things are fitting me better. Things are fitting me differently, but I've lost 5 pounds. So there also is that kind of, you have to remember too, a lot of people will find that they might even not lose any weight, but things start to fit differently. That whole like, wow, your body composition changes. That takes time. But it does happen if all of a sudden you start to find yourself in a very consistent, pattern with your training. And she added in some more activity. That's basically what she
Well, the
added
training
more
and the nutrition.
activity. And she also, focused a little bit more on how she was eating. And that plays a huge role, the eating. I don't think we think about that many people discover that when they start eating more protein, they actually start to lose weight. They start finding that their protein has now taken up the space of like something else that they might have been eating. But it's yeah, it has everything in this day and age, everything that's being fed to us is by our own doing, right? What we're looking for, what we're searching for. So if we want to search for something different, or if we want a different message, we have to search for something different. We need a different
Different
search
algorithm.
engine. Yeah. But I'd always say, go to your coach first. Come to us first. I mean, I have a habit of like looking at people and seeing people, and after a few like months and months, I'll see maybe like shoulders, and I'll call it out. I say, damn, like your shoulders are looking good. Like they're, and the person will say, thanks. I mean, and then they'll say, yeah, my t-shirts are starting to fill out better. So it's always this positive, for me. And I don't say it a lot, but I will say it because people do want to be, I think a lot of people do want to be complimented, because that shows that there's progress being made, right? If I'm starting to see I'm seeing some triceps. Oh, thanks. I'm starting to see a bicep. Oh, cool. Right. So that's an acknowledgement that you're doing something. And people, at least my clients, acknowledge that and are grateful that, thankful that I acknowledge it, because it means that, they've been showing up and putting in the work and they're feeling good about it. They're feeling good about their bodies. But there's still work for us to be done. Yeah. And it has everything to do with that phone, as I'm pointing to my phone and what we get from that. Yeah. But I like that digital sheepdog, because it truly is that. I've noticed that my searches, what pops up these days, I'm like, oh crap, I looked at one thing and now I'm bombarded with 1,000 t-shirt companies. I have a t-shirt habit, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a bad t-shirt habit. And if Diego listens to this, as I know he will nod in agreement. Emily's got a problem. I have a problem, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Maybe you need to invest in like a Cricut cutter and then make your own t-shirts.
I know, I kind of should, because they're just like really good sayings. I mean, it's kind of that, and they're all black, of course. They're all black and white, so you can't go wrong with that.
So you could only have to buy one color of t-shirt and one color of t-shirt.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I've got two sections of t-shirts. I've got all my t-shirts that are all black with white lettering, and then I've got all my Charm City shirts and whatnot. They're all nice and colorful. Which leads me to, since I know we're wrapping this up, I think we've kind of covered as much as we want to cover on that topic. And of course, if you've got any questions or comments about it, you can always reach out to us. But the Charm City Strongwoman contest has opened up. Registration has opened. We opened on the 7th of February. Today is the 10th. This will come out probably next week. And it's our last year. So it's our 15th annual contest. And it is our final year. We're coming back full circle to the original logo and the original events. So we're going to bring it back full circle. We're just moving on to another event that I want to run in the winter time, winter time. So I feel like Charm City after 15 years, because kind of come to a nice conclusion. We'll see if anybody else wants to pick it up and carry it forward, but. Registration is open. You can go to the website, 5by3.com, and see the blog post and register there if you're interested, or if you know people are interested. And we will eventually have our fundraising link up. We probably usually do the fundraising about a month out from the contest. The contest is on June 7th, 2026. That's a Sunday. And we'll start our fundraising sometime the end of April, beginning of May, for the Ullman House. And see how much money we can raise for them this year. And we'll continue to raise money for Ullman, but in a different capacity. So you can go to our website for that, and I'll have a link in the notes section of the podcast for that. I think that wraps it up for us today. So thanks for spending some time with us. And once again, if you've got any questions or concerns, you can always email me at emily@5by3.com, or you can reach out to Rebecca at
cornerstonestrengthmaryland@gmail.com.
Thank you for joining us today, and we'll be back in another couple weeks or so. Thanks, Rebecca.
Sounds good. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to 5by3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5by3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's FIVE, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.